Hey, how's it going? I'm on some Titanfall 2 today, and I wanted to talk about being alone with your thoughts. I am a consumer. I am constantly consuming media and entertainment, and pretty much all day I am listening to music, podcasts. I play so many games in my free time, and I, even listen to YouTube videos. If there aren't any podcasts or no music that I have to listen to, I pretty much am always tapped into something, which is probably not a great thing. But I occasionally think about what people would have done before technology, and always being alone with their thoughts, and how daunting that would be for me. I have always struggled to be alone with my own thoughts and process them in a more healthy way. I think I obsess over, a lot of small drama with friends, or I find it hard to collect my thoughts in my head, and I usually end up just spiraling into an even worse mood than I was already in. I think it's normal to need to distract yourself from the world so you can come back and recollect your feelings and process them in a better mental state. But I think I take that to the extreme, to the point where I end up not even processing them at all and just end up consuming to distract myself. And so much so that I overwhelm myself. I found myself basically going full circle and find the silence to be therapeutic because there is just always so much noise, whether it's in my head or whatever I'm using to distract myself. This was rarely ever a problem, or at least it wasn't a problem that I immediately recognized until I found myself at work without my AirPods. I forgot them at home and I had to spend the whole day essentially in silence. At the time, I worked at a place where I didn't really have to interact with anyone, and there wasn't any music playing in the store, so I basically was just alone for 8 hours. This whole time was just spent repeating the same thoughts over and over, replaying the same conversations in my head, and I kept singing whatever the last tune I heard was. It was unbearable, and it made me realize how uncomfortable I am when I'm truly myself in my own world. I was lacking that stimuli that I relied on to get me through the more mundane or depressing parts of my day. And it wasn't just boredom either. I can deal with that fine. I think I was just, I think it was just the deafening silence for hours, leaving me to sit with my own thoughts during a time where I don't think I was already feeling that great. I also use sounds to help me concentrate, which I think is pretty common. It's pretty common to use something like brown noise or rain sounds to focus during work, which I found myself using pretty frequently. That only really adds to the constant noise that I surround myself with and makes it so jarring when I am in complete silence. I think I've become so over-reliant on external stimuli to deal with a lot of my own mental hurdles, which is almost like procrastinating, pushing these feelings away endlessly until they bubble up and I'm forced to confront them. I found that this issue was most present during the times where I didn't have a lot going on, whether it was school or work. I often go on autopilot and the days go by very quickly. That's actually one of the reasons why I do this, to give myself something to do, work on something and be passionate about something. But during these times where I was on autopilot, I would just work, consume, sleep, repeat, work, consume, sleep over and over and over again. And I think that this is pretty common. Later in life, I think a lot of people will drop hobbies or passions because other parts of their life just become, so stressful or make them tired. And I hate that. I hate that I also find myself falling into those same destructive cycles. I think the best solution is moderation. I see a lot of self-help guys talk about making these huge changes in their routine and end up making their lives essentially miserable, in the name of productivity or being the best version of yourself. And I'm sure for some people, that's awesome. But I, also generally find joy and comfort in consuming a lot of the media that I do. It's just that I fall into over-relying on it to get me through the day, maybe in a similar way that some people use weed or, other substances. I think too much of anything can be a problem, or, whatever they say. But I also love my alone time. Too much hanging out with really anyone drains me, no matter who it's with. Even my best friends, I need a break from sometimes. It's just, I don't know, it's something wrong with my brain, I guess. So it's not even that I hate being physically alone, but rather alone in my own head and with my own thoughts, which so far has been the hardest part to address and fix. I can fix sleep, my schedule, or my bad habits, but the mental stuff is always there and always comes back around no matter what, no matter how hard I push it away. I may not eat very well, I procrastinate a lot, I can be pissy a lot of the time, but mental health has been the issue that has truly brought me to my lowest. I've aired a lot of that dirty laundry out on here, it's a mixed reception, but those negative recurring thoughts that I am so desperate to distract myself from deserve real attention that I often don't give it. And like consuming, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes I think about this stuff way too much and end up hyper-fixating on little details and drama that don't even really matter, and I just end up upsetting myself. But like I said, balance is key, and man, is it hard to balance everything. But that's just how things seem to be, and I think I just got to figure that out one way or the other. And like a lot of mental health related issues, acknowledging the issue is sometimes the hardest part. So hopefully I'm getting close to, overcoming this, which I think I am, but I wish it could be over tomorrow. Unfortunately, these issues seem to drag out for long periods of time. And it's so hard for me to track progress over months and sometimes years. I can go a whole week doing great, and then for 5 minutes, I get the urge to fall back into my bad habits and seemingly erase all the progress that I've made up to that point. But that has more so to do with, self-improvement overall. But it's weird. I feel like if you aren't able to be comfortable alone, you're going to spend a lot of your life miserable, constantly changing, a distraction or a person to fill that void. Something that put me in some of the worst times of my life by far. If I was a more secure person, I don't know if I would have found myself in those situations, constantly chasing, friends or girlfriends, yearning for a new game, constantly picking up and dropping hobbies. I was never truly secure. And maybe that also has to do with, external factors going on at the time, which I don't doubt played a part. But yeah, I think there's something so important about truly being content alone. There's a saying that I'm blanking on at the moment, but isolation and being alone and being truly, by your own thoughts is how so many people, I think, make the most progress in a lot of aspects of their life. And I think it's really important and something that, I think everyone talks about, but, when you actually find yourself in that situation, it is really hard to overcome that or to deal with that, and to just make progress in general. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. I got Twitter and stuff in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, see you guys.